third place as we get away. Well, the Hungaroring, just outside Budapest, the capital of the country, is the venue, of course, for the Hungarian Grand Prix and for the 7th race weekend in the GP2 category for 2007. And once more, with the iSport drivers, Timo Glock and Andy Zuber on the front row of the grid, and Glock setting just a stunning pole time, some 3/4 of a second quicker than his closest rivals. Well, we're on board now on the warm-up lap. The pits are on our right-hand side, just come out of the long sweeping turn 1 and 2 complex, and down towards the left-handed turn 3. Timo Glock, our championship leader, and Bernie Ecclestone, a man who, with the Hungarian government, not only made Grand Prix racing possible behind the Iron Curtain, but keeps this circuit going as well. Ecclestone is certainly a very large, if not complete, shareholder of the circuit. And Timo Glock, all the top guys in the championship. Lucas de Grassi, who's second in the points, he lines up third. Luca Filippi, who's third in the points, lines up seventh. Giorgio Pantano, who's fourth in the championship, lines up in fourth place. Pastor Maldonado, fifth in the points, also in the top 8. The only guy in the top 6 who's not well up in the points is Adam Carroll, with a 6th position, despite having gone off twice at the same chicane out on the back of the circuit during practice. And the circuit has been substantially resurfaced since last year, despite which the drivers all saying that it seems to be a lot bumpier than it was last year, those that have got experience of it last year. And Gareth, some of these curbs are still really quite high as well, which means it's they have to be judicious about what curbing they use.
Yeah, I mean, it's always had the sort of characteristics of a street circuit, Hungary: tight, twisty, dirty, but the one thing it didn't have particularly was bumps. And now they've resurfaced it, it's very bumpy as well. It's basically a street circuit, but without the barriers being quite so close to the track.
Even more like Monaco then.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and usually very hot, very physical, really hard work. You know, once you get caught in a bit of traffic, it's a real hard afternoon's work.
So 15 turns around the Hungaroring, and the drivers will be on for 42 laps here. Now, when I was here 3 weeks ago for the World Series by Renault races, the track temperature was 56 degrees for Saturday's long race. 56 degrees is well over 110 degrees in old money, and the air temperature was just a whisker under 40. Today, it is just about 30 degrees of air temperature and a little over 40 degrees of track temperature, so much more manageable for the tyres in this long first race. Cars forming up here in Hungary, led by the iSport team, and some nervous moments there in the iSport pit box. There will be when the lights go off. The last time the two iSport drivers, Glock and Zuber, shared the front row was at Manicourt, and neither of them made it into the first corner after hitting each other. Bruno Senna comes right to the back of the grid there. There is a yellow flag being waved vigorously, and they're being waved away for another starter, another sighting lap. Sebastian Buemi, car number 1, is the man who seems to have stalled the car, so he will be pushed into the pit lane, or dragged into the pit lane. There is in fact a gap in the wall just by the starter's tower, so he'll be pushed away, and Gareth, he will have to start from the pit lane. So already his weekend off to a bad start for ART.
Yeah, rookie's error. It's funny, isn't it? I mean, he joined the team temporarily for Monaco and did an absolutely spectacular job. Never sat in the car before, never seen Monaco, and qualified 4th. The 2 races he's done since then, he really hasn't shone a great deal, and I think maybe the fact that he's now being sort of rumoured to be in permanently and the seat is his, as before he was substituting Rammermüller, suddenly the tables turn, the pressure becomes different. You know, as in the situation he was in at Monaco, there was no expectation. He could just get in the car, do the job, and just enjoy the weekend. Now it's his seat, the expectation is there to deliver, and I think maybe we're seeing a bit of pressure.
Well, Michael Rammermüller, incidentally, is slated to head into World Series by Renault. They kick off again at Spa in a fortnight's time after their midsummer break. So his wrist injury is clearly taking a bit of a while to recover. And Dr. Helmut Marko, who organises where all the various different drivers go or don't go, viz Scott Speed, to name but one, is obviously determined that Rammermüller will stay in a programme, but not necessarily holding down this ART GP2 seat. So Buemi we expect to be in for the rest of the season. The teams are allowed up to 4 drivers per car per year. Racing Engineering now have their 5th driver in. But they're saying Marco Martinez has been allowed in because after Ernesto Viso's huge crash in Magny-Cours, last-minute substitution in the week that followed up to the British Grand Prix was really force majeure. So we're not really counting Felipe Albuquerque as a genuine choice by the team, but something more that they had no option. He didn't do a bad job, I have to say, as that option, but that allows Marco Martinez in. However, he is now obviously in the seat for the rest of the season because they cannot change unless they go back to Ernesto Viso.
Well, if he is, he's got some work to do, isn't he? He qualified 4 seconds from the next car, which was Niemöller, and he was 7 seconds from pole, so got a bit of work to do.
Yes, even newcomer Marcus Niemöller for BCN managed to make it into the field, so Martinez very much out of his depth here in Hungary. Has come from Spanish Formula 3. So cars just taking their positions for a second time here in Hungary, and of course the race distance will now come down by a lap. Charlie Whiting, the starter, ready to get things underway here again as the cars roll onto the back of the grid. Hoping Tung, the camera car there for BCN. And Bruno Senna coming around the final corner. Last car will be Marcus Niemöller, the second of the BCN entries. No yellow flags waving now, so all engines seem to be still running. Starting from the pit lane will be Sebastian Buemi. We're looking for 5 red lights, and when they go off, away we go. Let's see if the iSport drivers can manage to make it into the first corner without any problems. Good start from Timo Glock. Zuber very slow away though. De Grassi and Pantonet will challenge him. De Grassi's got by already.
Ooh, on the outside.
And that's Maldonado.
Good move from De Grassi. Great move around the outside on the brakes. Has got much later on the brakes than Glock and pinched the lead.
Well, it looks then as though the iSport guys were being just a fraction too cautious at the start. A little bit too much wheel spin as well. The track is very dirty. Everybody amazingly making it through turn 3 as well as they pour on the power down the hill here in Hungary. And picking up the pace there, Borja Garcia in the Durango car. But it is Lucas de Grassi that leads.
Well, as I say, Glock just seemed a little bit too careful, didn't he, on the brakes? De Grassi was really determined on the racing line, so perhaps a tad more grip than Glock had on the inside there. But even so, Glock was very early on the brakes.
It may well be after Formula 1 qualifying that the track is considerably cleaner than it has been at any other stage so far this season.
Across the curbs.
Yeah, that was Karen Chanduk. No, it wasn't. That was Roland Rodriguez bouncing across the curbs there. Oh, big handful there. Was that Mike Conway, with the car trying to break away at both ends? But you can see that De Grassi's car very twitchy indeed. Oh, move up the inside, and that's good. Good opportunism on the opening lap. That was Nicolas Lapierre. Hang on a minute, he passed somebody on purpose. Lapierre making a good move.
Collector's item. Actually must have had a bad start because he qualified 9th or 10th, I think, didn't he? So he must be...
now he was passing Andy Suchek, who started alongside him and clearly got by him at the first corner or somewhere in the opening lap. So that was Andy Suchek's DPR car. They passed for 8th place. So yeah, Lapierre was 9th on the grid.
Was he having a nibble at Maldonado there? Maldonado that covered.
Maldonado raced here in... though didn't race here last year in the World Series. World Series didn't come to Hungary last year, this first appearance this year, so he, like much of the field, fairly inexperienced at this track. And Gareth, although it's got a fairly straightforward layout, it is quite tricky to really get the best out of it, particularly when the track is dirty as it has been during qualifying.
That's super going
on the grid. Was somebody was up high watching out in practice through turn 2 and 3 and said that Senna was meters away from the racing line. So clearly it's not just about the team, it's also about the driver here as well. Well, good battle for second, little smoke from the tail of De Grassi, but Timo Glock is all over him and wants to get by. Yeah. 41 lap race distance now as we had that extra formation lap. But again, having a little nibble at Maldonado, but this 15th corner, very hard to keep your line through and very important. This is a long, fast front straight, Gareth.
Yeah, I mean, this is usually the overtaking place during the race, isn't it? This is the you've got to get a good exit from the final turn.
Maldonado going very deep and defensive, wasn't he? Well, you could see even as we joined the straight then that Zuber was getting a toe on him into the pits, Kazuki Nakajima, and he's not alone either. Who else has gone down pit road? Petrov, we saw. Adrian Zaug, well, he qualified right down outside the top 20, so Zaug needs to get a bit of a shake on as well.
I'm surprised this car's going this early. Like I said before, the tyres are going to really struggle to last the distance. I think 41 laps around here. I know it's cooler than normal, but it's still a very abrasive track. And I'm on the medium compounds that they're on this weekend. I think the last 10 laps, if you change now, will be a right old handful.
Well, having a look again at the start, you're looking at the second car on the right-hand side of the picture. Tucks in between the two iSport guys, Lucas de Grassi, and makes his move early. He obviously didn't wait until they got into the braking area. He was going out wide all the way. He's on the on the cleanest part of the track, rather, on the racing line.
Because you see how early Glock braked, because Maldonado also caught him up, nearly had a go at him on the inside, as well as de Grassi on the outside. So Glock was just very conservative on the brakes.
And that squeezed Zuber down to 5th place.
Yeah.
Well, here with Zuber, he had a bit too much wheel spin, so immediately he's got de Grassi alongside. Doesn't really tuck in behind de Grassi. He's defending the inside line. As a result, around the outside and around the inside, he gets passed by Maldonado and by the man now in 3rd, Giorgio Pantano. Well, Pantano's got lots of experience of this circuit, Gareth, and that really showed there. He just knew exactly how to deal with it best. Well, Mike Conway's season from 21st, dropping down to last, and in fact, that was the end of his race.
De Grassi's just done the fastest lap of the race, but you wouldn't know it because Glock is right behind him, just less than a tenth slower.
So Pantano in 3rd, Maldonado in 4th. This is the battle with Maldonado, Zuber and Adam Carroll. Bruno Senna takes tyres, so both Arden drivers have already been in. And in the past, we've seen 25 laps is a decent distance for the mediums to survive. 38 is asking an awful lot of them. Well, race leader Lucas de Grassi, Gareth, you just pointed out he may have set the fastest lap of the race, but he is really hanging on by his fingertips here. He's not opening up any margin at all.
I was quite amused after the last round where because he finished, 2 or 3 seconds behind Glock in the feature race. He announced that he felt ART had now found the pace they were missing and they could go head-to-head with iSport. Well, I think iSport's qualifying performance gave that back with interest. And I do think today Glock clearly is quicker. I mean, de Grassi is holding him up, no question. I think if Glock can get past, he'd be gone.
Well, now, obviously, Glock would like to be able to either make a pass or dive into the pits, but with the medium tyre at the Nürburgring, 25 laps you were good, 30 laps you were to get by Andy Zuber, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
really pushing hard.
Both iSport cars have got the same problem in that they're being slowed by the car directly in front, and that has dropped them into the hands of the car behind. So Zuber's got Carroll all over him, and Glock's got Pantano all over him, and that is purely because they can't get away. They are the fastest cars. I mean, you don't put the cars the 7/10 of a second clear on the front row of the grid and lose that in the race. That pace remains in the race, and they're obviously very frustrated being stuck in behind the cars that are slower than them.
Yeah, even if the weather robs you of 2/10, it robs everybody else of 2/10 in pretty much the same way, no matter what the setup is. So you're absolutely right. What is interesting, though, is that it is a very high downforce circuit. Of course, if they won't run Formula 1 cars traditionally as much wing here as they would do at Monaco, but can you get away with using a bit less wing if you're a little further back? Let's say you're an Adam Carroll. Could you just trim the rear wing down a fraction to try and get maximum pace on the straight and get a good toe all the time? Yeah,
I mean, that wing actually starts to work at a reasonably low speed as far as racing cars go. I mean, the aerodynamics start to work at about 75 miles an hour. It's a replay of Zuber.
Oh, he had to back out of that in a hurry, didn't he?
Well, exactly what Maldonado's done there is not so much lifted off the gas to make Zuber delay getting on the power. Maldonado's actually touched the brakes, I think, in the corner then. He has been accused of this by other drivers, and it's not acceptable. It's acceptable to mid-corner just have just delay getting on the power.
There's the second FMS car, Jason Hinchey.
Yeah, I think given the fact Zuber's shaking his fist, I suspect that Maldonado's lifted there.
Yeah, I think yes, you might well be right. Yeah. Well, yes, so it was delaying the inevitable, but you're absolutely right. In these cars, obviously with no brake lights, it's very hard to tell exactly unless you look at the data traces. And, well, there's certainly argument for those being made available to stewards in incidents like that. Take a look again. Now this is the subsequent lap, and Zuber this time not quite so close in turn 15. As a result, gets a better drive out, goes around the outside.
Gives him a wave.
Yeah, the universal.
He wasn't saying hello either.
The single digit of disapproval.
Yeah.
Goes by, and Maldonado has been told.
Yeah, I mean, he was accused of, or rumoured to have done that to Adam Carroll at Silverstone during the sprint race on the Sunday morning.
And just a little touch between them as Zuber went by onto the brakes as well. I don't know whether that was Zuber giving him a squeeze a little bit in return, but Maldonado wasn't particularly being intimidated by that. Seems to have been the weekend for intimidatory tactic, doesn't it? We haven't seen it between, particularly between teammates here, but Fernando Alonso in the Formula 1 qualifying really trying to put the bird up Lewis Hamilton, who had the interim pole position, by making sure that he took too long to get his tyres fitted, and Hamilton then could not do a final qualifying lap. So Timo Glock in from second place. So that leaves Lucas de Grassi ahead of Giorgio Pantano. I don't think Glock was the only car. No, also coming in Andy Suchek. And Suchek coming in from ninth place. So Glock taking new tyres. Oh, and there's a problem with the right rear wheel nut. What a disaster for Timo Glock. Well, now let's see whether they can sort it out. That will have cost him 7-8 seconds and several positions, and you really don't want to be losing that kind of time here. So, drama for Timo Glock here in Hungary. Actually stays on this time. Watching Karen Chundok. Oh dear. That was a replay down at turn 6. The Indian driver spinning the car round. Into the pits comes Nicolas Lapierre. Lapierre coming in from 7th place.
Looks a fairly disorganised pit stop, isn't it?
Yeah, that was
chicken spring. It's only the lead change.
It's insignificant. Pantano absolutely romping away. Quick checking of Formula 3000 notes. How many 3000 races has Pantano won here? Because he has got a bit of a 3000 heritage at most tracks that we go to. But I don't know, I haven't got that, I'm afraid. So Lucas de Grassi in second, Andy Zuber in third, Adam Carroll fourth with Pastor Maldonado behind him. So Maldonado is going backwards. There's Borja Garcia in sixth place. Of course, all these guys yet to stop. Looking as though they're dealing themselves a stronger hand, I would have said.
This is interesting now, because don't forget, Zuber was very quick. I mean, the reason he didn't go head-to-head with Glock for pole is he had a sensor, gearbox sensor was playing up during qualifying, and it cost him a little bit of time. So actually, he should have been quicker than he actually was. So I think we'll probably see him start to reel Pantano in big time now.
That's very interesting. So Adam Carroll in third now, Lucas de Grassi in the pits and coming back out round... where is that in the order? Nakajima was 11th at the line. Oh dear.
Is it Maldonado?
Yeah, that's a heavy one as well. Now, where is that?
I think I've been off there. Yeah, I have. It's turn 4.
That doesn't narrow it down
turn 4.
much.
It's the quickest corner on the circuit.
That's that fast downhill right-hander.
Yeah,
and
it is behind the pits.
That's Lapierre. Lapierre's out as well, has only just completed his pit stop, and that had dropped him down to 15th, but in 4th of the drivers that had stopped, and that car has just come to a grinding halt. So, oh blimey, he's hit several things on the way in, hasn't he? Well, as you can see, the Venezuelan driver is okay.
He's just spun down a barrier, isn't he? Shedding wings and corners and all sorts.
Trident team looking very concerned. He's okay, bit of work to do on the car, mind.
There's a really nasty bump right on the apex of the turn, and if you just catch it at the wrong angle, it just spits you off.
And conceivably a lot nastier now, it's been resurfaced as well.
Exactly.
They seem to have engineered in bumps. There's a little river that runs around the side of the circuit there. The storm drain contains it, unless it rains, in which case it comes up through the tarmac there as well, doesn't it? Turn 4 is always really bad news when it's been wet here. Now, who's that storming out? That was Zuber. Thought it was. So Pantano still leads. Zuber has stopped from second, and he comes in right in front of de Grassi.
So Carroll leads on the road, but he hasn't stopped yet.
And behind de Grassi.
So actually, the first stopper who's back on the track is Zuber, I believe.
And behind Suchek. That was a DPR car. Is that Suchek? That might be in front of De Grassi. So yes, Adam Carroll leads from Borja Garcia, Ho Pin Tung and Marcus Niemöller. Now, Niemöller obviously is going to stay out there and lead as many laps as he can, leave his pit stop till last. He was on the last row of the grid, absolutely nothing else to do but flail around until there's no option but to come into the pits and see what you can make of clear air. That would be very entertaining. Andy Soucek is right in the middle of this battle. He's got Roldan Rodriguez behind him, and at the moment this is 12th and 13th. Soucek and Rodriguez. In front of them is Jason Tahinci, who has not stopped. So at the moment still, oops.
Oh, there's Maldona's crash
in the background. Yeah, I was just watching Petrov struggling in turn 6, but yeah, he just went right off, didn't he? And deep in there as well. You don't have small accidents there anymore, I don't think. Down the inside. Ah.
Yeah, that's why Lafayette. Who's he tangled with? Is that Philippi or Conway he's tangled with?
That was Conway, I think. I wonder if that just then gave him no gears. Just that bound kill switch while he was bumped up in the air or something, yeah.
The drive shaft might have got broken.
Something like that.
Just sort of takes the wrong, not a big hit, just the wrong type of hit, wrong angle.
Well, quite often it's the landing as much as the impact that sent him up in the air in the first place. So Carroll still leading from Garcia. Whoa, that's Rodriguez.
It's brave there too, it's quick.
Yeah. Well, getting by Tahinci because he's slowing them all down, and right behind Rodriguez is Pantano. So, and Rodriguez has stopped. So he is going really, really strong. He wins.
Shown as the leader of the stoppers at the moment.
Oh, right, so he is. Yes, I didn't read the graphic correctly.
Well, I think maybe
that was the last
shake
lap.
out.
So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Replay with Adam Carroll. Oh, big handful, slipping all over the place. He is our race leader, of course. And he's done 11 laps on these tyres, but he was just at the straightening it up there into the turn 7 and 8 chicane and sorted all out.
Just pushing hard. Obviously, he's got a clear road ahead of him, and just needs to get some real quick times in to try and save his position.
Well, he does, yeah. His last lap was only a 1:33.4. Behind him, Borja Garcia, 1:31.8. So that's a lot quicker, and there is Garcia 7th. If they've got 10 lap more tyre at the end of the race, that might really pay dividends.
I think we're looking at Nakajima as our genuine leader. He's actually showing us a couple of seconds up the road from Zuba, 17.8 down the road from Carroll.
Yep.
And he has stopped.
So we got Carroll Garcia, Ho Pin Tung, Marcus Niemöller, Karen Chunduk. They're the 5 lead drivers, and 5 made pit stops.
And Nakajima stopped, and he was the first car in. He basically stopped the end of lap 2. So
Nakajima, 5th place, the best of those who have stopped, and he's just about to put in a move on Karen Chunduk, I would think, for 4th place overall, whether the Indian driver stopped or not. Oh dear, and that is hoping. No, it's not. Oh, that was Marcus Niemöller who stopped.
Filippi, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, that's Luca Filippi.
He's backed it in the wall on the exit of the last turn, I think.
Corner, yeah. Oh, there's 3 cars there. That is Roldan Rodriguez. Is that Pantano?
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
4. There's 4
you're
cars
right.
there
Yeah,
now.
you're right.
Because on the left-hand side is Filippi. So it was an incident between Roldan Rodriguez. I think that was bailing out. Or was, I don't know. No, it's not Rodriguez, it's car number 3, so that is Sandy Negrão. Now, we had a big multi-car pile-up here in the World Series by Renault race as well.
Petrov as well, isn't it?
All triggered off by somebody losing it out of the final corner and spinning through the pack. In fact, he didn't lose it out the final corner. He was making a pass through traffic and then got clipped. It was Jaap van Lagen, and he ended up turning sharp left through the middle of 3 busy cars. Down the pit road comes Adam Carroll.
That bunch were all together. Petrov was 13th, Negrão 14th, Filippi was 17th. Tahinci's gone off as well. He was 15th. So there's a whole little cluster there.
Javier was in that group as well, but he survived that. So we'll have to wait and see who comes by. Adam Carroll was the race leader, comes in for his pit stop. There is Ho Pin Tung, who was 3rd on the road. Garcia comes out behind Carroll. He was 2nd on the road. And that leaves Karen Chunduk possibly as our race leader. Yes, he is. But look, they've got out in front. Oh, go on, Adam, that's it. Excellent. Excellent. Now, Chunduk cannot repass him. So that was a very good tactical move by Adam Carroll. That gives him the lead of the race.
Yep, with new tyres.
Whoa. Well, Luca Filippi, let's see how this starts. Who loses it? Oh, that was Filippi, goes off on the inside. Wow. Huge shunt, and now it's all avoidance. My goodness me. Well, we don't see where the rest of it breaks loose from. This will show us, though. Well, he goes out, and it
just snaps
left on him. Sharp left over the curbs. That's a breakage. That's what happened to, well, it was his rear wheel, took out whichever of the two that was.
Yeah, that was Negrau and Petrov, wasn't it? Who got caught in the wreckage.
It was Petrov, and
somebody else has gone off.
Racing car.
Yeah.
And somebody's gone off out of the final corner in avoidance.
Yeah, definitely mechanical failure, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, shaken but not injured, Luca Filippi, but yeah, no question about it, Gareth. In the replay, it just turned sharp left there. Now then, the Dams team having a bit of conflab. Why would that be, do you wonder?
Well, there was a few shenanigans, wasn't there, as they came into turn 1 under the safety car. There was obviously...
Well, that's...
Chandok thought about going past.
Dams and Nakajima are complaining that Adam Carroll came out parallel and then went in front of Nakajima while the yellow flags were out.
I mean, that's an impossible one to call. I mean, Carroll wouldn't have seen anything, really. I mean, the cockpit sides are very high, and anything beyond your kind of 40 degrees ahead of you, you won't see.
Well, as he exits the final corner, so I would imagine the safety car will be out for another 3 or 4 laps, probably more, because there's some debris. That looks like a wheel nut there in the middle of the track as well. There's some debris, and you can still see Filippi's car hard up against the pit wall. There is young Nelsinho. Dad, incidentally, has got to go and spend 20 hours learning how to drive.
Saw that. Yeah.
Only 3 world championships to his name, obviously, but as a result of clocking up endless speeding and particularly parking tickets, he's had his license taken away by the Brazilian officials. You would think, honestly, Nelson Piquet, first of all, he could afford to pay for them to change their mind, and secondly, they would be going, it's Nelson Piquet, for God's sake.
National hero.
Yeah, you know. But hey-ho, the law's the law, there you go. So we are still seeing Adam Carroll leading from Karen Chandok, Kazuki Nakajima in 3rd, Borja Garcia 4th, ahead of Andy Zuber, Lucas Di Grassi, Andy Soucek and Giorgio Pantano. So Pantano did not have a good pit stop, it is fair to say. He really bought it big time from that. He went from 1st to 7th. Carroll, mind you, went in first, came out first, courtesy of the safety car. Whether that sticks or not, we're going to have to wait and see, because there might be a bit of whinging going on about that. The stewards might well have to have a look at that, but well, he was certainly accelerating as quickly as he could down that hill into the first turn. Well, it didn't necessarily look like he picked up full race pace. Well, let's have a look again. Here comes Carroll. Now he's out of the pit lane. Yeah, see the car squirm there as he nails it down the hill, followed by Garcia. But he's ahead here.
He's ahead, clearly.
So he's on the dirty side. He makes sure he brakes safely. Chandok doesn't go past him because he goes, uh-oh, yellow flag.
Yeah.
So the Dams team have got absolutely nothing to whine about. However, these two trying to sort themselves out. Borja Garcia. There's Adam Carroll.
Zuber, isn't it? Yeah, Zuber and Garcia having a set 2.
No, Adam Carroll was ahead all the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the frustration from Nakajima is yeah, I know, it's frustrating. Chandok's in the way. Chandok hasn't pitted, you see.
Well, Chandok's not in the way. He's leading the race.
He's leading the race, but he's not a contender, is he? You know, he's just messed up Nakajima's race.
Borja Garcia goes back past him. Well, again, see, Andy Zuber, in my mind, was ahead of Borja Garcia when they sort of intersected past the blend line. So I think that perhaps behind the safety car, Borja Garcia ought to be moved back a position. But, you know, that's neither here nor. 26 laps remain for Adam Carroll, our race leader. And Jason Hinchy's board, you see, P16. They're all coming out here. Plenty of time to figure out what's going on, but at the moment, no messages on the timing screens. Adam Carroll is our race leader from Karen Chandok, Kazuki Nakajima, Borja Garcia, Andy Zuber, Lucas Di Grassi. All the guys behind Chandok will pick up a place because the pit lane is shut now, so Chandok is not diving in. You can't do that while the safety car is out. So he will have to make a green flag pit stop like everybody else. And everybody here trying to be very careful, Gareth, to make sure that they don't run over any debris and then pick up a puncture, because that's the last thing you need.
Trouble is, it's impossible, isn't it? It was such a big shunt and it stretched from one side of the track to the other. So just follow the car in front as close as you can in the wheel tracks and hope the car in front picks up the rubbish.
Exactly. Follow his tracks. The more offline you are, the worse it's likely to be. Now there's a panoramic shot you don't get very often. That's a great shot, gives you some idea of what the gradient drop is away from the pit straight, because even when you look at the onboard cameras, it doesn't show you the way it all plunges off downhill. It's a real high-speed roller coaster, and there is exactly where we saw Pastor Maldonado going off on the left-hand side, so really attacking hard in corner 4, and the car just got away from him. Well, Luca Filippi looks okay, doesn't he?
Yeah, a bit of a worry that what caused it. I mean, I can only assume he banged wheels of somebody and you know, just bent the suspension or something, and it just failed. Strange place to fail too, though. You know, there's no load particularly there.
No, absolutely. But there you go. The safety car is still out here in Hungary. One with any kind of control. You know, the more times you see this accident, the less likely it looks that Luca Filippi had any warning at all of what was going to happen there, because he was just on the normal racing line, on the curbs, car spat across the curbs and into the barrier, which is very, very close there. He'd run out past the gravel trap, past where you'd normally go off, and there in front of the grandstand, there's no more than a metre of grass or so, less than there is in that shot there. So the car took a really hefty belt.
Yeah, that's expensive. I mean, as it happened, there's actually a better place than it could have been to go wrong, you know, if it happened in the corner where Maldonado crashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or elsewhere.
Well, you can see the impacts were fairly substantial, and it was the bits flying off the car that accounted for some of the others. Certainly Vitaly Petrov would have had no chance whatsoever of avoiding the bouncing wheel that took the rear off his car, and fortunately again struck behind the engine as opposed to in front of it, because the opposite doesn't bear thinking about. Now lights are off on the safety car, so we are getting ready to go racing once more. 25 laps remain. We're on lap 16 of 41, so still the bulk of this race to go, and with almost everybody in the field having made their pit stops. Kahei Hirata has made 2 pit stops. He's last. Adam Carroll, our race leader. Karen Chonduk behind has to stop yet. Kazuki Nakajima's not waiting for that. Very good restarting from Nakajima. Gareth, so often, even at this level, we lambast drivers for not being able to stay awake during a safety car period, and he's not the only one. I think Pantano picked up a place from Suchik. He did there at the restart, and he needs to, because Pantano really struggling after the pit stops left him down in 7th position. So he's picked up one. Is that Senna? Yes, yes it is. No, that's Adrian Zhao picks up one. So Zhao goes by Tung for 10th. And queuing up now is
that's block up Holman, I think, down in 12th place, isn't it? Yeah.
And that was to go by Tung as well.
Yeah.
So hoping Tung did have the sleeping bag unrolled during the safety car period, but very savvy restarting from Nakajima. He wants to win.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped up, I imagine, so it's going to be a good scrap with these two. They're both great racers, Carroll and Nakajima.
Absolutely.
I mean, Carroll's got the benefit of having new tyres on, but they'll be up to speed now at the temperature, so wide open.
Sleeves rolled up, elbows out, it'll be all arms and action. 3rd and 4th at the moment are Chandok and Garcia, his teammate. Chandok, who has not stopped, Garcia, who has. And Garcia now... Is that Garcia right in front of us?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So this is with Degrassi. No,
Zuba. One was on the Zuba.
Oh, we're on board with Zuba. Yes, sorry, no. And Zuba gesticulating. Whoa. Now Chandok goes deep defensively. And Garcia's going to unlock him on the inside or pay the penalty, because Zuba, you're right, is all over these guys. Chandok is not helping his teammate. Garcia's desperately trying to find a way to go by and be defensive at the same time, which amounts to much the same thing. But now there's no earthly reason why Chandok should stop, and of course Gareth, now having lost the rhythm, and now everybody's right behind him. He's not in clear air. He's got no space behind him. He's got no option now but to plod on as long as he possibly can and hope that something goes his way. Here's the restart from the point of Nakajima. Look at the pickup on the right front tyre from being offline. Watch it get cleaned up when he hits the brakes. Doof, 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 doof. Now, Father is here. Oh, my goodness, he's put a few flat spots on that on the way down into the corner. Satoru Nakajima is here this weekend for the first time ever at a GP2 race.
Yeah, I mean, he had to make that move, didn't he? But it's come at a price, as you said. I mean, that lockup was expensive, and it's on tyres that have already done, it's 18 laps now, so they've done 16 laps, those tyres, way more than most people.
Oops. Well, I don't think he wanted to be doing that.
I think that will stop him really having a good, strong go at Adam Carroll, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. At least in the end, as you say, Carroll has got an advantage in terms of tyre at the moment. Lap times
pretty close.
1:31.77, 1:31.90. So Nakajima not quite that close. And unfortunately, I think that might be slightly the sideshow, because behind Chunduk, it is all very, very tense indeed. Chunduk, Garcia, Zuber is the next car, then De Grassi, then Pantano, then Suchek, then Rodriguez, then Zaug, then Glock, then Tung, then Bakarud. Not more than a second between any of those groups of cars. So Chunduk is doing us no end of good by closing the cars up in the second half of the race here. In fact, still in the first half of the race, we're barely at half distance yet.
No, I think the likes of Pantano and Glock have been well pleased. Chandok's at the front of this little pack because it gives them a chance to work through if they can, without the front guys getting away too much. I mean, clearly the front two have gone. I don't think Glock will catch those, but if you can start to make progress, still got 22 laps left, plenty of time.
Yeah, those two, particularly Glock and Pantano, who did get completely stuffed by the pit stops one way or another. Yeah, this is exactly what they need. They didn't need the leaders or everybody to be spread out quite so much. Lucas De Grassi, car number 2, really feeling the pressure. De Grassi 6 at the moment, and Pantano all over him. He was only 0.2 behind at the line, which is effectively nose under the gearbox in these cars. That's not even a car length, really. So Carroll leads after 20 of 41. Nakajima. Carroll to Nakajima is the biggest gap in the field.
Yes.
That's first to second. Pantano outside.
Zuber on the outside of Garcia, I think, yeah.
Stays offline.
Has he done it?
Well, he's still there.
Looks like, doesn't it? He's still there, but he's got the inside line. The left-hander coming up. Yeah, he's got him.
Look at the holes in that tyre.
I mean, the car does do that because it rolls to the right, and actually the camber drops away.
Yeah, so in the inside, the inside wheel was actually clear of the ground there, which is why it's not moving. It is a bit of a sort of carousel effort there, corkscrew effort rather. Oh, and look at that from behind. That's Rodriguez having a biff at Suchek. And that was for 8th. Suchek stays in front. Rodriguez loses ground, and that was Zaug climbing up behind him. And in fact, Zaug went off in... went around the outside of Rodriguez by going off. So it looks as though he's picked up a place there as well. And behind him is Timo Glock, 11th at the start of the lap. So he's picked up a place too. Carroll and Nakajima. Nakajima's getting a little closer though on this lap, I think. Yeah, definitely.
You're right. He was 10th, or just almost a 10th quicker the last lap.
Well, now he's only got one option. He's got to get by Carroll, no matter what Carroll has. 4 tenths. In another 10 laps, he'll
4 tenths quicker, Martin, that lap, Nakajima.
Yeah, so that's it. It's
game on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's get by now, or accept that you've lost the race. Glock on Zaug. And that is still for 10th, actually. Yep. So Rodriguez stayed in front, or got back in front of Suchek again after all that kerfuffling. So, in fact, nothing much changed there. Well, let's have a look again as they come down inside under braking. Well, this was a lap ago with the battle with Andy Zuber going around the outside of Borja Garcia in turn 1. This is for 3rd place. 4th place, rather, behind Karen Chandok. And eventually it paid off for him. Persistence, but Gareth, he put himself in the right place on the straight, and Garcia covering the inside, so Zuber was left with nothing else but to be brave around the outside.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing for Zuber was a left-hander followed the right-hander, so... Oh, it's spun, Glock spun.
So that's Glock in the gravel, and unless he can select reverse very quickly...
Oh, he's put it back on the road.
Fortune favours the brave. Now, can he donut it round? He can, but he'll be right down and a very long way from the points. And absolutely livid with himself. Well, it was a tiny bit offline, but he had his front wheel really alongside Zaug's rear wheel, and that was never going to, be a good thing. Now, Nakajima's faded again on this lap.
Adam Carroll 2/10 quicker that lap.
Yeah, so he's taken back most of that gap. Zuber jumping away in third place from Chandok and Garcia. So Zuber's passed Chandok on the last lap. We didn't see that either. Tahinchi with Hirate looking to go by. Tahinchi outbraking himself.
You have to say, for all the pace Glock has had this year, he really hasn't made it pay, is he? He should be so much quicker, so much further ahead in the championship than he is.
That's Tahinchi having a gearbox pack up on him. Well, let's have a look at Glock now. It's coming up to the next corner as a right-hander. Okay, Zaug was slow off the corner, but Timo was trying to back out of that. See how almost a full car overlap he dived out of it.
It's difficult. I mean, Zaug did leave a big old gap there, didn't he? And Zuber...
Well, that's the racing line, though, isn't it? But Zuber saw the danger and tried to back out of it. Yeah,
Glock was quicker, went for the gap. Zuber shut...
Zaug,
Zaug shut the door.
Too many Zs. Two is enough to confuse us. You're right, yeah.
And once Glock is committed and then has to lift off, well, it's only going to swap ends, and he went into that story.
Yeah. Absolutely, and the good news for him is that not only did nobody hit him as he went round, but he escaped the gravel trap as well. The bad news is that he's only ahead of Sebastian Buemi. Somebody there in the door of the transporter having a very good view of it all. So across the line, Kazuki Nakajima, let's see, 1-0, so 4/10 back.
Zuber's flying.
Yellow flags are out at the first corner, so this is not going to work. Yellow flags are out. Hopintung finally gets the message, trying to put in the pass on Adrian Zaug, and that is because Tahinchi's car's being dragged away. He just... All right, he missed his braking because he was being passed on the inside by Hirate, but then he was clearly just looking down inside, and I would assume he had no gears at that stage.
Yeah.
Now then, this is the battle for the lead, from being 0.8 behind on the last lap, 0.5 at the line this time. That's 0.0. That's about 0.2, isn't it? Adam Carroll suddenly in trouble.
Yeah, it's difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, Hungary is one of those circuits where you don't need to be super quick to win the race. As long as you're in front, and as long as you're comfortable absorbing the pressure, which I think Adam Carroll probably is. Don't bust a gut. Don't ruin your tyres. There's 18 laps to go. Just get into a nice rhythm. If Nakajima wants to go mad, and clearly he's had to go quick to catch up to the back of Carroll.
Yeah.
His tyres now, and Carroll knows that, his tyres are 10, 12 laps older than Adam Carroll's tyres are. I think probably Adam isn't that bothered.
That's Pantano passing Garcia last lap. That was the change for 5th and 6th. Pantano moving up to 5th place. Don't forget a man who came in as our race leader. Nakajima is right in the zone, and he's also just about in the tow as well. He might be the man for a Banzai move down the inside.
That's the concern, I think, for Adam Carroll. Is it's one thing to keep a car at arm's length, but when it's someone who you know is what's the word I'm looking for, Martin? He can be a little bit of a liability.
Impetuous.
Impetuous, that's an excellent word, thank you, yeah. Nakajima can be impetuous, and the worry is if Adam is just, driving within himself and keeping him at arm's length, he could have a lunge.
Take a look at who the fastest man on the track is. Give you a clue, he's in 3rd.
Yeah,
1:30 flat.
Yeah, he did
Zuber.
29.8 last lap around, so he is flying.
He's very fast, and he's really hauled in the lead too.
Yeah.
So Zuber looking very quick indeed, and Pantano, as we saw there in the first corner, picking up another place. So he's now up into 4th. That's the benchmark, and unfortunately they do need wide, flat, open circuits to get the best out of the aero, and Hungary is not one of those. And anyway, it's not about you drivers, it's about us fans.
No, I agree completely.
So that's the most frustrating. Drivers say, oh yeah, I really like it, Manicourt, I really like it, it's a really challenging track to drive. Yeah, it's a really challenging track to watch a race at as well, because nothing happens, and you just sit there after lap 3 going, oh, I fancy a Coke and a hot dog, and I've only just finished the last 2. So just out of even remote shooting distance of Nakajima, and I think he is probably at the moment. Now then, this is Garcia losing a place to Degrassi. And Garcia really somehow needs to engineer a way to get by his teammate, but he just doesn't have the pace to do it. He doesn't have the pace to be in front of anybody else. He may have been a little settled. Well, here is Pantano in fourth, and he is in the 129s as well, so his personal best of the race, the last lap. Chandok 5, Hirate, so Hirate's picked up a couple of places in the last 3 or 4 laps. So as Chandok comes in, he was sixth after he'd been passed, wasn't he? So 6th place, we'll probably see him rejoin in something like 17th. So between Bakarud maybe and Buemi. Bakarud enjoying his habitual bad luck again this weekend. And Carroll, well, the chicane shows that at least here the drivers can rock-ape it a bit over the curbs, but it also shows that there is now one driver who has got nobody to worry about from behind, and that's Andy Zuber. So Nakajima in the middle of this sandwich is in the worst position of the trio, really, isn't he?
He is, but I'm not sure how long that's going to last, because now Zuber's caught up with the front two. His times have dropped off by a second to the mid-30s. Pantano, meanwhile, is still on the high 29s, so about 7 or 8 tenths quicker a lap. And he's only 4 seconds behind, so much more of this, another 6-7 laps of this, and Zuber's going to have his mirrors full of Pantano. Yeah,
I think so. So Carroll, Nakajima, Zuber, your lead trio. Here's the battle around Hopin Tung. Zaug in front, Javi Villa behind him. And our statistician Sean coming up with an interesting stat that if there was a championship for feature races, Javi Villa would be 17th in it. If there was a championship for sprint races, he'd be the leader, since he's won 2 so far this season and done particularly well in all the sprint races. But how far is he? He's quite a long way. He's 10th at the moment, so 2 places or a retirement or a 2-car accident away from starting on pole for tomorrow's race. And there is Andy Soucek at the back of that little group in 12th place at the moment. So Adrian Zaug is the man who leads that queue. He's 9th. And Tung, he's 8th rather. Tung is 9th, Villa in 10th, Hirate there in 11th, and on the back of it, Soucek in 12th. So good little squabble. And actually, Gareth, since this is the battle for pole in race 2, which Zaug currently holds, it might end up being really quite fraught in another 13 laps time. I mean, you've got a lot of cars, haven't you, who could actually take that. I mean, Glock is only 10 seconds down the road from this in fact, less than 10 seconds. He's 9 seconds behind what currently is the pole spot of Zaug in 8th place. So it's pick any one of those cars from 8th down to Glock in 14th that could pinch pole for tomorrow. Mistake there by Tung, little lock-up, he runs a fraction wide, so suddenly Javi Villa will be right on his tail as they get to the end of the straight. So 8th place with the yellow nose, that's Adrian Zaug, the young South African. Right behind him, at the moment, the better placed of the 2 Arden cars in 8th place, Senna in 13th. And a bit off this battle, 3.2 behind Soucek, and showing no sign at all of being able to catch them either. A little quicker than this group, but then he is on his own. Yeah, his qualifying performance was atrocious, wasn't it? 30.2, he was only 2 off the back of the grid. Over 3 seconds from pole. I mean, that's just terrible. Christian Bakarud in the pits again. Starter. And if anybody's got a lucky rabbit's foot as well, send it to C. Bakarud, care of DPR, at any racetrack you like, because I'm sure he'd be grateful of anything that can give him a bit of a break. But Nakajima, is he starting to run out of tyres now? Or is he watching his mirrors a little more than he needs to? I think he might be... we were saying, weren't we, that maybe the last 10 or 15 laps, for anybody who stopped really early, the tyre would be really just clinging on. Distance. Of course, 5 laps of that wear were saved by being behind the safety car and not caning them. So it's gone a little for... I was not expecting them to make 10 laps before we really, from the end, before we really saw them give up. No, but it's all relative, isn't it? I mean, everybody apart from Adam Carroll benefited from the safety car in terms of tyre wear. Adam didn't, because obviously he pitted during the safety car period. But then, of course, his first laps out of the pits, he wasn't caning the fresh rubber either.
Yeah.
So that might give him even more of an advantage, perversely, than if he'd come out just before the safety car and had to really put in 2 or 3 very quick laps. It's often difficult to predict how heat cycling through a tyre makes a difference to it, but, you know.
Well, Chandler certainly benefited from his late stop and putting new tyres on, just banged in the fastest lap of the race. 29.6. Everybody else is in the mid-30s. In fact, De Grassi's done a 30 flat that lap as well.
Yeah, Pantano now out of the 29. No, he's not. 129.7, so he's still in the 29. So that's why he's nearly right with them again, Gareth. You know, you said in 4 or 5 laps, and it's 2 or 3, and he certainly can see them now, and that makes him go even quicker. So we ride on board in second place with Kazuki Nakajima. Yeah,
Zuma needs to get a hurry on, doesn't he?
Yeah, and of course he has got a bit more tyre left than Nakajima.
Yeah, I think he's got probably, what, 10 laps more in it than Nakajima has?
Yeah, Nakajima made the apex there, no problems, no lockups. So he's still finding the grip, isn't he? I mean, look at the line. He's absolutely able to hold it. A little bit of a wobble over the bumps in the mid-corner, but that's not to kind of imagine you'd be able to tell whether you were closer or further apart, you know, to that...
To that degree, yeah.
1800 of a second at 160 odd miles an hour as they go across the line. What's that? That must be like 2 or 3 inches. But what he will be able to be very much aware of course, in the vibrating bits of glass that are his mirrors, is that he's still got Zuba there, and he'll probably be very aware that Pantano is closing in fast as well. Even if you can't see it, the team certainly need to be making him aware. So, leader completes lap 31. Adam Carroll now with 10 remaining. Kazuki Nakajima closes the gap again. Oh, no, he doesn't. Adam eased it out by 7 thousandths on the last lap. So it's really, there is still nothing between them at all.
But Pantano did a 29.9 again, so pulled him by 6 tenths again. He's only 1.2 off back of Zuba now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this could be very, very close indeed. Battle for 8th. Adrian Zaug still holding on. 0.2 from... Oh, we're hoping Tung as we go on board with Tung. This is for pole. Oh, and he's outbraked himself. Through goes Zaug. Yes, through goes Via. Through too goes Suchek. What a judicious piece of camera swappage there by the director. Obviously somebody in the back of the truck is shouting, look on board. Fantastic stuff. Well, there you go, Gareth. Tung making a long, decisive lunge down the inside, trying to do exactly what we saw the move put in on Pantano. This is from the outside. First turn. He's inside the first turn.
Zaug comes back in there.
Zaug cuts back. Tung sits on the outside. You see, now you don't get this in Formula 1 cars. They don't have enough low-speed grip, not enough mechanical grip. Tung gets in, little clash of wheels. Look for Zaug coming on the inside. Here he is. Now Zaug's on the outside and he knows he's in trouble here. Brakes in time because he knows that Tung is going in deep and is giving himself the escape door that in the end he used.
You see that? Yeah, he did the exact right thing and gave Tung just enough room to be on the track, but no more.
Oh, look at that. They were rubbing wheels as Tung outbraked himself down the inside. That was very nervy driving by Adrian Zaug.
Hard but fair, I think. Hard but fair.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gave him just enough rope to hang himself with.
Yeah.
So Carroll, Nakajima, Zuba and Pantano. And that is Javi Villa being passed.
He's trying to pass Zaug, I think, isn't he?
Oh, and that Zaug stopped. Zaug has stopped, and that will be a legacy, perhaps, of the little clash with Tung. No, he's got going again.
I think...
No, it wasn't. No, I'm sorry. No, I thought it was.
Yeah.
No. That was somebody pulling way offline. That was Sebastian Buemi pulling way offline, who is a lap down anyway and hanging out the back of the field.
Yes, it was Buemi, yeah.
And in fact, is now shown on the timing screens as being out, although he wasn't quite. So now at the line, last time it was still Zaug, and it is still Zaug from Javi Villa, who wants a second race victory again. He's going, oh, come on, come on.
Speciality.
Yeah. Alfonso Dorleon will be jumping up and down with glee if he can manage to unsettle Adrian Zaug from 8th place, or if somebody in front of them goes off or retires or whatever, then the bonus is there for Javi Villa, who twice this year has started from the race 2 pole and twice this year has won race 2. Now then, under pressure, Kohei Hirate. Timo Glock is closing all over the back of him. Unfortunately, this is only for 11th place. But then, Gareth, that just puts him closer to some points, at least in race 2. In race 2, they only go down to 6th position, aren't you? So
an awful lot easier, yeah. I mean, if he gets past Harati, he's got Tung, and then he's onto the back of the scrap after that for pole, really. He's onto the back of the Zaug Veer.
Which he can see stretching out in front of him. He can see Zaug turning into the first corner just as he's thinking about getting onto the brakes, because he's over that hump at the end of the straight there. Ooh, and that was Zuba having a think about Nakajima. Now we need to see a little earlier if in fact Nakajima was just getting his nose back in front, because that did look as though turn 6 maybe Nakajima had a car around the outside of him. Out of 10 up through this very fast section here, turn 11, turn 12, very quick approach. Over the brow, back down the hill again. Oh, and Pantano's having a think as well.
That's difficult, isn't it? Every move that gets rebuffed, you're back into Pantano's clutches.
And you were told that Hungary was supposed to be a boring racetrack. Stay with us, we got 7 after this. It's only going to get more interesting. That's why. Top 3 altogether. We've lost 4th place Giorgio Pantano. He's in the pits. Giorgio Pantano in the pits from 4th position now. He was all over the back of the battle here between Kazuki Nakajima and Andy Zuba, and his race is over. That has all the body language of something going fundamentally wrong with the car. And Gareth, you have to assume that that is a gear selection issue of some kind.
Definitely. Give him a push start, yep. Great
that
shame.
Is a great shame.
Yeah, he was flying, wasn't he? Really, really
Javi
great
Veer
job.
is in 8th place. Javi Veer is in 8th place. There you go. that's tomorrow's race programme decided. We don't need to worry about who's going to win it then, do we? Because history tells us there will be no choice. So Adam Carroll then with Kazuki Nakajima. And the gravel trap grabs you and drags you off into the wall. And Veer trying to give Zaug the hurry up. He can see Tung getting right in close behind him. And at the moment, these 2 guys, the first 2 in this queue, Zaug and Veer, are on the front row for tomorrow's sprint race. And a mistake again by Zaug under braking. Don't recall what lap he came in, but it was very early. And there's Pantano not looking at all happy with himself. Well, the 2 of them can only commiserate with each other, really, can't they?
Yeah, that's pretty tough. He worked so hard, didn't he, to drag himself up to the lead group, and was banging in some really quick time. Consistently, 29, 29, 29, really, really quick. And no obvious reason what it was. Just, there was no indicator that something was wrong. Yeah, at least Petrov had the obvious reason of having the back end of the car being taken off by a bouncing wheel in a big wreck, but new overalls, please. But no real reason there. So Zaug and Veer. Now Tung again asked a little too much of his tyres in the last few corners, and he's in trouble because he's got Hirati and Glock giving a big hurry up here. Now, but he can smell pole, can't he, tomorrow? He can smell a decent grid start tomorrow.
Well, Glock could barely contain his laughter if the 2 Japanese drivers, or the Japanese and Chinese in front of him, managed to take himself off. If Hirati has a bit of a lap as Nakajima, or on lap 3, or lap 4 rather, so I thought after lap 3, I think they're both really, really long on tyres. With Tung over this brow. Again, long sweeping corner 6. Up over the brow into the braking area for this little chicane, 7 and 8, bedoink, and again, oops!
That Tung?
No, that was Hirati. That was Hirati just shooting off, exiting stage right there.
Just didn't turn into the chicane, did he? Down the escape road.
Tried. I think his tyres probably didn't let him, and Glock goes by. So Glock goes by the recovering Hirati. I'm amazed that Hirati recovered that well, but there's a big grass street area there, so you can just straight line it, as we saw earlier. But Glock gets the place, and that makes him 10th. So he's really, really pushing very hard with 3 laps remaining after this. Well, this is where Hirati makes his mistake. Out of 6, down into 7 and 8. Expect to see... the car nearly swapping ends on him there. He just got off the pedal, straight lined it, and Glock, to his credit, took his time and made a good judgment decision to get by him.
He did very well to get past him, actually, because Hirati didn't lose speed. I think what Glock took advantage of was Hirati being a bit flustered.
Yeah. And
missed his
fact,
apex there.
Yeah, the tyres gave up. And in fact, he was not close enough there. That's where he tangled with Zaug and spun the first time anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I suspect Harati probably picked some rubbish up on his tyres actually, and just that's what caused the problem with grip.
Karol, Nakajima and Zuber, this is our lead group, and it looks like the Ulsterman is heading, I'm not going to say those words, Nakajima in second place, and Andy Zuber in third position. And again, Zuber's not been able, well, we didn't see what started the end of the move where they were almost wheel to wheel, but it looked as though Zuber had actually made a move. We didn't see it happen though, unfortunately, on the TV pictures. And as they go across the line at the end of lap 38, 3 laps remain here in Hungary. So a little over 7 miles, for us keeping him about half a second away, which is sort of out of even rash move territory. So De Grassi 4th, Garcia 5th, Rodriguez 6th, no battles between those. And then long way back, it's 11 seconds between Roldan Rodriguez in 6th and Adrian Zaug, who leads the next group. He's 7th, ahead of Javi Veer by 0.2 at the line, and 0.8 behind was Tung. So Veer, in fact, as they came across the line, was having a bit of a go for 7th place. Now, that might be a mistake, because he's never won from 7th in a sprint race, only from... No, that's not true, actually, he has. He's won from both front race start positions, I think, this year. Ho Pin Tung behind, and then Timo Glock, that's 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th you're looking at. Veer is the car with the lighter coloured body top of the front two. We're on board with Ho Pin Tung. And these guys now, in the second part of the season, particularly at a track here where they haven't got experience, the rookies have all been doing pretty well. They've got to grips with the cars largely, they got to grips with the setup potential of the cars largely, and how the tyres can be used. And now with nobody with a real setup advantage, well, not too many of the guys in the field with a setup advantage of having raced here before.
In the qualifying, you have to be on it straight away. So it's really difficult, and particularly this weekend was a good example of why that's even, so hard for a rookie driver, because the qualifying session was full of spinners and yellow flags.
Yeah.
You didn't really get any flow to the session, so it's really hard for a rookie driver.
You have to know where you're going right from the beginning in this day. Adam Carroll keeps himself comfortably clear of Nakajima and Zuber. And Zuber really pushing very hard indeed as they head towards the final lap here. Trying to find a way to get onto terms with Kazuki Nakajima. Fastest lap of the race by Sebastian Buemi, 1:29.5. So he's trying to get that point. Already the 2 bonus points for pole position went to Timo Glock.
Good job Glock's taken so many bonus points this year, isn't it? Without those, he'd actually be... I think he'd be second in the
last. Yes, he would be somewhere there. Yeah, but that's all part of it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every single point, every single time you go on track is important.
Yeah.
And if that means going from 8th to 7th in race 1, then so be it. A point's a point at the end of the year.
Yeah, it rewards fantastic pace, which he's shown all year.
Completing lap 40, heading on to the final lap here in Hungary. Adam Carroll leads by 0.7 from the battle for second. Now, if Timo Glock's got anything, even if he's got nothing left, he's got to have a go at Kazuki Nakajima. And Gareth, he's rarely been closer.
Yeah, he's having a little look on the inside in his Zuber, but I think he's just posturing rather than a serious look at the moment.
Well, if
got to do what you can do, just put the pressure on and hope Nakajima sees you and makes a little mistake.
If Nakajima's tyres are 15 laps or 10 laps older, that might be all that it needs, just to show himself in the mirror and give Nakajima a dose of the willies and make him just miss his braking by a few hundredths of a second might be all that it takes. And Nakajima, in turn, trying to close on Carroll as well. They were 0.7 at the line. That's more like 0.4 now.
Well, the last lap, Nakajima was half a second quicker than Carroll, and Zuber was 0.2 quicker than Nakajima. So they've all closed up again big time. Well,
they're getting the final lap signal from the pits, of course, and this is it now. It's all or nothing, but Carroll has responded.
Yeah.
He's pulled out enough of a gap to stop Nakajima getting through here. Now, can he hang on all the way through?
I think he's driven very well, Carroll. I think he's done what he needed to. No need to go mad, no need to go blitzing the pace. Just do what you need to do, bring the car home comfortably. It's a very easy track to go off on, Hungary, so don't risk doing that. Just find the pace you're comfortable with and Good win.
Victory for Adam Carroll, second for Kazuki Nakajima, third place for Andy Zuber, and certainly the FMS team will be celebrating after a very good pit stop, put Carroll in the position to win it. And Giancarlo Fisichella will be very happy indeed with that. Now here's the battle for 7th and 8th. 7th is Adrian Zaug, 8th Javi Villa, having a look inside the final corner. Are you mad, man? I know every point counts, but on the other hand, it's the last corner, don't give it away. 7th for Zaug, 8th for Zuber, 9th for Tung, 10th for Glock, 11th for Hirate. Further back, Andy Suchek, 12th. Bruno Senna, sort of behind him in 13th position. And the remaining two finishers will be Karen Chandok and Sebastian Buemi, who gets the point for fastest lap. But 10 points and 8th place in the race 2 grid, so not that bad a place to start the sprint race either for Adam Carroll. And you talk while I find out how many races he won, because I can't remember how many he won before the start.
I think that's his second win of the year this year, isn't it? Because he won a sprint race.
Wins 4 previously, so his 5th win in GP2.
Yeah, 2 this year, 3 last year, yeah.
So has he won
before,
every year now?
Yeah, because Supernova first year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then Racing Engineering last year. Did he win last year? I'm not sure he did.
Good.
Perhaps he won 3. Anyway, somebody will tell us. And
well, Sean's probably texting furiously, even as we speak. Not to worry. So, congratulations indeed to Adam Carroll and to Fisichella Motorsport. Good job by them. And Carroll, the decisive move in the end, exactly as the Dams team were having a bit of a panties in a twist moment about, was when he stayed in the lead, coming out to pick up the safety car, or to be picked up by the safety car as the race leader after his pit stop. It couldn't have fallen better for him, but he made every use of every opportunity that was handed to him, and that is the sure sign of a good racer. Really bad news indeed for Giorgio Pantano. That's really tough break on him. Luca Filippi as well, and don't forget these guys were 3rd and 4th in the championship coming in here, and they both suffered through no fault whatsoever of their own. But our race winner here in Hungary is Adam Carroll, victorious in Budapest.